Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be covering the topic of school. Now, I need to preface by saying that I'm not one of those people who just hates everything about school. Although some of the opinions I'm going to share here might make it look that way, I genuinely think that school can be really important. If you're going into something super technical like law, health, or engineering, you absolutely need school. If you're a statistician, for example, and you did really poorly in school, there's a good chance you're not as good at your job as one of your peers who did really well in school. However, school only covers a fraction of what its students really want, and I think that that's my real problem with it. I absolutely love to learn, and I think we can all agree that learning is a really crucial part of life. I think it's also worth mentioning that all of the points I'm bringing up in this video are generalizations. That means there are certainly outliers. Not every single C student is the most successful. And at the same time, some A students definitely have the important characteristics that we see in C students. For those of you who want to know, I finished college right in the middle as a B student. What does that mean for me? I honestly don't know. We'll go more into my opinions on college another time, but without wasting any more time, let's get into the topic of today's video. Here's why C students are the most successful. First and foremost, C students question the importance of the academic system. We're told all of our lives that we need to get perfect grades in school if we want to get the best jobs we can get. Now, I think we can all agree that education is important, but there's a massive distinction between the education system and education in general. I can say with confidence that very few people with a head on their shoulders think education is a bad idea. However, this is directly aimed at the current education system, which is lacking precision. C students tend to question why they need to learn things in school that they'll never need to remember again. They question why school is broken up into just a few subjects and why school doesn't teach them some of the most important things that they need to learn in life. A students usually strive for the highly coveted A on all of their assignments, which leaves them little room to question this. Next, C students are the trendsetters. A students are taught that if they can perfectly regurgitate information on a test, they've done a good job. These students are totally comfortable with accepting this information as both important and correct. Now, C students question the academic system. In fact, they don't trust it for the most part. So because of that, it leads them to think of what is actually important. This forces C students to think outside of the box and be creative. Many C students aren't comfortable with having a traditional career, so they have to think outside of the box for ideas on how to make money and achieve fulfillment. Of course, these entrepreneurial ventures don't always go as planned, but the ones that succeed bring us people like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. Now, before we move on here, be sure to take a second to hit that subscribe button and notification bell down below. I put so much effort into these videos and I'd really appreciate your support. Plus, if you like this video, you're gonna like the content that I've made previously and the content that's coming in the future, so you might as well. My next point is that C students aren't afraid of failure, aka bad grades. They actually see their failures as stepping stones to success, and they know that they can constantly progress, which really excites them. A students tend to go for perfection on their first try, while C students are willing to learn from their mistakes. They're not afraid of their flaws. In fact, they actually embrace their flaws because they know that there's no better way to learn than to learn from their mistakes. The biggest problem that A students see when it comes to perfection is that failure totally throws them off. When you're as used to perfection as A students are, your shortcomings will absolutely crush you. Next, C students have the best social skills. C students place a lot of importance on networking, which is absolutely vital when it comes to success. We've all heard the corny phrase, your network is your net worth, but a lot of the times it's true. A students tend to lose sight of their network for two reasons. First, their report cards tell them that they don't need any help from anyone. Second, school doesn't actually teach you how to network. A students usually have a lot of trouble with things that school doesn't teach them because they're so wrapped up in their academic work. C students are always thinking outside of what they're taught in school, so they're more likely to keep this in mind. That being said, C students are really good at developing relationships with people. They see everyone as equal, they're respectful, and they tend to have this energy that just draws people to them. Next, C students find the easiest solutions to problems. C students tend to be lazy, but not always in a bad way. While they're super motivated, they don't want to spend extra time on mundane tasks if they don't have to. C students tend to be the most innovative because lazy people will do everything in their power to make things a little bit easier. A C student probably invented those flat escalators you see at airports. C students are constantly seeking efficiency, but school generally teaches us otherwise. Taking a math test without being able to use a calculator is unimportant because in the real world, you'll always have a calculator. Another example is having to remember the specific dates of certain historic events. In the real world, you can just Google it. A students usually don't think this far because they just do what you tell them to do. Next, C students take risks. For C students, life isn't a boxed-in, narrow path. I guess a more relevant analogy to make here is that life isn't a standardized test with right or wrong answers. Because of this, they see life as a path with a million forks in the road. On the other end of the spectrum, A students are usually boxed into thinking about life like a multiple choice question. This mindset seriously inhibits creativity. Because of this, most A students will never even think about taking any risks as far as their career goes. That would mean they're most likely to graduate college, get a 9-to-5 job, and essentially limit themselves. Of course, there are so many people who love 9-to-5 jobs, and if you're that person, that's great. However, C students usually don't want to put a cap on their income or limit their ability to chase what makes them happy. C students take calculated risks to figure out exactly what it is that they want in life. Next, C students define success on their own. Society usually teaches us that success equals good grades and a steady paycheck from a 9-to-5 job. But C students tend to think outside of the box, and they recognize that this is one of many paths they can take to success. They do things on their terms. Please take a second to let me know your thoughts on this subject in the comments down below. And if you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button because it helps the algorithm a lot, and I'd really appreciate that. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on Tuesday for another video. Peace, everyone.